Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com. Elevate your brand with Mako Custom Printing. Mako Custom Printing specializes in creating high-quality spiritware, corporate apparel, and promotional products that make your brand stand out. Whether you need custom printing, graphic design, or an online store for your school or business, we've got you covered. Make a statement with Mako Custom Printing. Visit us at mako.com to start your custom printing journey today. That's MEHCO.com.
Welcome, everybody, to Sports on Tap. This is the high school football preview show. We're going to go through each of our conferences in anticipation for week one this week of the high school football season. My name is Ed Dick, alongside Rob Troutman, Sean Duffy, Josh Jeffy, and Noah Jacobson. And we are watching us live on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, Sports on Tap. Get those notifications. We are about to go live on the air. Along with the rest of our other social media stuff. Most notably Twitter at SOT Podcast, Facebook at Sports on Tap. Make sure you follow us there. We're on Spotify, where we as well for the audio. Our website is sportsontappodcast.com. That's going to get very active here starting this week. And then for any sort of comments, questions, suggestions, corrections, send us a note at sportsontappodcast@gmail.com. We are presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance, located in beautiful Hudson, Ohio. Make sure you check out rayfelton.com for a quote on your home, life, and auto insurance needs, amongst many other things. And boys, we have finally made it through the two-a-days, through the previews, through the half scrimmages, through the passing scrimmages, the 7-on-7s. It all comes down to this: the first week of the season. You guys have done a fantastic job getting out there, getting guests on. We've had coaches. We've been to camps, and it's been a great summer. And now we're really ramping up for the big part of what we do, and that's covering high school football for 4 conferences: the Suburban League, the Greater Cleveland Conference, the Southwestern Conference, and the Cleveland West Conference. All right, of note, we only have really one major change for the 2025 season. Lorraine joins the Greater Cleveland Conference, giving us an even 40 teams that we're covering this year. So we're excited to have Lorraine in our coverage area. We talked to Coach Boyas earlier in the offseason, previously in the offseason. So we're really excited to bring the Titans on board with what we do as they compete. They left as the LEL champions, and they're going to look to make their mark in the Greater Cleveland Conference. As we normally do, we are going to start with the commish. He is he covers the Suburban League Natty, as he likes to call it, and he's going to get us going here on the high school football preview show. Josh Jeffy for the Suburban League Natty, take it away.
Thanks, Ed. It's good to be with you fellows once again. Looking forward to getting back to the grind of our Monday night schedules, Friday night coverage. It's going to be awesome. So looking at the Natty, as we go through this, week one, you'll see the week one schedule right there. Some really good, interesting games to start off week one on the Natty, or in the Natty, excuse me. Brecksville will take on Aurora, Austintown, Fitch, Hudson. St. Vincent St. Mary takes on Nordonia, North Royalton, Valley Forge. No spoilers there. That could be a hot commodity later on. Solon, Kenston, Medina Stowe, Twinsburg, Boardman, Barberton, Wadsworth. Now, just going through some of these teams, kind of looking through them. We're going to start at the very top. Last year's co-champs, the Wadsworth Grizzlies finished last year 9-1, 6-1 in their conference. They did have a nice playoff run, but they did eventually end up losing to Division II state champion Avon. But they're led by some of the seniors: Gavin Madigan, Calix Lemp, Cooper Gray, Jacob Ernest. Those are the main stalwarts. Also at quarterback, sophomore Bryson Hall. Now, last week, I went to the Brunswick and Wadsworth scrimmage game. That highlight video is going to be, it is on our YouTube page, so if you'd like to go check that out, go ahead. And pretty much from the start, it was all Wadsworth. They are in midseason form. We also talked to head coach Justin Todd earlier on. You can go back on YouTube and watch that interview that we had with him. You know, Wadsworth every year has some questions about what young guy is going to step up, because they are a program that can develop talent, and their young players play. So that's going to be one of the keys, I think, this year for them, is which young guy or guys are going to step up and play a really important role for a team that looks to be heading straight for another long playoff run. Another key for them is staying healthy. They've been able to kind of get by with some of the major injuries that they've had over the last couple seasons. Hopefully they could stay healthy. In fact, after the scrimmage game, that's one of the things that Coach Todd kind of mentioned to his team is staying healthy, but staying physical. That's going to be the key for this team to make a good long run and win the Suburban League National Division once again. The other team we're going to talk about right now, they finished second in the conference. They are co-champs, North Royalton Bears. I had to kind of think about this. I'm like, holy cow, North Royalton, that's right, they were co-champs. They were 5-1 in the conference. Now, they did not play 7 conference games. They only played 6 because due to a scheduling conflict with Solon coming in last year to the Suburban Natty, they only had 6 conference games. So they didn't play Solon. And it was kind of a league vote at the end of the year that if North Royalton, who played Wadsworth at Week 10, beat them, they would indeed have a share of the conference championship. And sure enough, they did beat Wadsworth in Week 9, but their playoff run ended pretty quickly. I'm sorry, Week 10. Their playoff run did end quickly to the hands of the Wadsworth Grizzlies. Wadsworth went on to a really big win Week 1 of the playoffs. But some of the keys looking at North Royalton this year is who's going to play quarterback for them. Joe Kinney, their 3-year starter, graduated. However, they do have 4 returners on the offensive line, and they have 6 on the defensive end of side of the ball. So that's going to be key. Looking over the Suburban Natty as a whole, guys, one of the things, there's 3 or 4 teams out there that has question marks at the quarterback position. And we know in high school football, especially at this level, quarterback play is very, very important. But they're going to lean, I believe, a lot on the running game. And that's kind of what you have to do if your quarterback is a little questionable. I'll be interested to see where they go Week 1 as the season continues on. The third team we're going to talk about, they finished 3rd last year. Really great season. Nordonia Knights. For the 4th straight year, they finished 8-2 in the regular season. They did end up losing in the playoffs to Akron Archbishop Hoban. Same thing as North Royalton. They graduated their All-Ohio quarterback, Ben Chesser. Rocco DiLorenzo also graduated. So they're going to have to really replace some key players. Leaving that junior quarterback, he's going to be starting this year. Steven, I hope I get his name right. I will get it right by the start of the season, but it's Facult. He steps in at quarterback. Last year on JV, he had over 1,700 yards, 25 touchdowns in playing 34 JV games over his career. I'm sorry. So that'll be a big key for them. Connor Wapham replaces Rocco DiLorenzo at the running back position. He's probably going to play both sides of the ball because last year he played every snap on defense, but they're going to need some help on the offensive end. Carson Fisher, though, is coming back on the defensive end for Nordonia. Gavin Canar, he's the Kent State recruit. He's going to anchor that O-line. So, like I said, Nordonia's Jeff Fox, great head coach. He's got a really good, consistent program there. They're looking to go 8-2 or better for the 5th straight year. I think they're going to be trouble for the Suburban League National Division. Number 4, they finished in 4th place last year, was the Hudson Explorers. Arguably, they play one of the tougher non-conference schedules in the conference this year, and they always have. They went 5-5 last year. They were 4-3 in the conference. They did lose to Walsh Jesuit in the playoffs, but they have a lot of experience coming back, starting with quarterback Nathan Judy. He's also a stalwart on defense. Jeff Goff really would like their quarterback to concentrate on just playing quarterback, but he's so talented. He's got to play defense too. Rito Furry, he's coming back as their lead running back. Also some key contributors that are back this season, Brennan Funyak and Lou Castor-Lauren. They're both coming back. They have 23 seniors on this team, so this is a very experienced team, hoping to build off some of the success they had last year, which I think they will. They're going to be a tough team to beat as well. Then we have some questions starting down as we go. The Brecksville Bees, they finished 3-7 last year. I'm sorry, we got to get it going. Sean, it's the Brecksville.
The Bees!
There you go. They were 3-7 last year, 3-4. They did not make the playoffs, but they do have some returning weapons on the offensive end, starting with quarterback Nate Henninger, running back Jake Terevic, and wide receivers Carson Zapkar and Max Ritter. Those guys were really high contributors to this team last year. They all come back. The big question for them is, will the defense improve? They gave up a lot of points last year, and they're going to be young on the defensive end. So a lack of experience this year may cause trouble, but we'll see what happens as they look to build off of a 3-win season last year. Stone Monroe Falls Bulldogs have had a rough go of it late, and Martin Potter going into his 4th year as head coach, 5 wins in 4 years. And for his time there, he's had Jake Harrington, his starting quarterback. He's going into his 4th year as a starter. Hasn't been as successful as probably they wanted to. They're still looking to build that team, build that culture. This year, however, Coach Potter said this is the most they've had on the team when it comes to seniors and juniors. So he's kind of hoping that those two groups, those two grade levels can kind of combine, build off of their 3 wins last year, but not only that, start to really take a hold and build a good culture where they can get some wins for the Bulldogs. They've had a really, really rough go of it. But on a positive note, in Potter's first 2 seasons, they won 1 game each. Last year, they won 3, so maybe they are on the up and up. Solon Comets are next. They had a really interesting transition year last year coming into the Suburban National Division. They were so young last year. Now all of that experience is hopefully going to suit them really well. They did, however, lose their quarterback, Jack Sanders. He went to St. Ed's. He transferred over there. So stepping in is going to be Brody Cohen. He's a junior. He's hoping to really lead the offense with weapons like Kyra Robinson, A.J. Jefferson at the running back, Brady Bush at tight end. You know, these guys are going to be the keys for the Comets. I really think, though, they are the team primed to make a huge jump. I'm really interested to see how they're going to go. But again, it all starts with quarterback play. How is that going to he's coming in first-year starter on varsity, but there's a lot of guys who got a lot of time last year, first-time varsity, so they're going to be used to those bright lights. Hopefully that experience will help bring Brody along relatively quickly for the Comets. Finally, rounding out our little quick preview of the Suburban Natty, we got the Twinsburg Tigers. They finished 3-7. They were 1-6 in the conference. We talked to Coach Salter early on. You could go look at that interview on YouTube. You know, he was not happy last year. They're still trying to really build a culture, but this is a team that probably has the best group of skilled position players in the conference, led by Rob Herndon, J.D. Okuma, R.J. Ruffin, and the transfer from Nordonia, Sam Collins. That's 4 stud wide receivers that they're hoping to have a really big year. The question is who's going to be throwing them the ball. As of now, looks like it could be Dylan Fantone. He's the junior. That, Coach Salter said that's a pretty good competition, but Fantone so far does have the upper edge of just having those mental recs from being on the team varsity level last year, getting some time, some snaps on the varsity level as well. And also what's going to help them, as we talked about, 80% of their offensive line starters are back this year, so that's going to be very beneficial for them. So it's going to be another interesting year in the Natty, folks. Guys, real quick, went through all that. I'm being biased here. One of the best conferences in the state of Ohio. Any given day, either one of these teams can beat the other one. So it's going to be real interesting.
Hey, great job on that, Josh. The Natty is, as someone who started the Natty, I covered the Natty for a little bit when we first started breaking this out, and with the addition of Solon, taking the place of Cuyahoga Falls, that just adds another element to it. Solon, and also they jumped up to Division I this year, previously from Division II, Region 5. And I didn't mention this earlier, but we can probably get into it a little bit later. The playoffs are now 12 teams per region make the playoffs now instead of 16, which we talked about that pretty frequently with the coaches over the course of the season. Yeah, Josh, you did that. That's a heck of a breakdown there. Another addition for Hudson, and the only reason why I know this is because I worked with his dad. Drake Vandersika, who lives in Hudson, comes back from St. Ignatius. He was a starting offensive lineman for Ignatius as a freshman, and he comes back as a junior to his home school. So, I'm I'm assuming he's playing football. He finished third in throwing for Hudson in the I think the shot put in the spring. But he's a big dude, and I think they're happy to have him back, presuming he's playing. I probably shouldn't text his dad that, but he's a real big in football. And if you start for St. Ignatius as a freshman and a sophomore, regardless of what their record is, I think that's going to help Hudson out significantly.
For sure, that's a big get. You don't hear that very often coming from private back to public, so that's a really good get for Hudson.
Absolutely. And Josh, if you had to gun to your head, if you had to pick a winner for the conference this year, who would it be?
Well, probably a little recency bias, but the way that Wadsworth looked in that scrimmage against Brunswick, they were firing on all cylinders, like it was midseason form, to be honest with you. Bryson Hall, kid's a sophomore, but he's got such command of that offense and team, and with the senior leadership that they have, they're going to be tough to beat. But real quick, looking at other teams, Hudson looking to build on 5 wins. Nordonia's going to be there. And, I wouldn't be surprised to see Solon really competing either. That's not to say that, North Royalton can't build on it, Brecksville, Twinsburg. But those are, the cream of the crop as of right now.
Excellent work. Very good. You got to see the schedule earlier of where the Natty is going to be. And that is that's one of the best reviews of the Natty that you're going to see. And it's right here on Sports on Tap. Good job, Josh. And with that, let's move over to the other side of the Suburban League, the American Conference, done by my cohort, my colleague, my compadre, and our defending fantasy football champion, Sean Duffy.
Nobody needs to mention that.
Take care of the American for us.
I'm sorry, Rob. I had
that's not high school football.
But yeah, I listen. We're going to talk football here.
Listen, I wanted to get it out of the way so you wouldn't gloat over it. So it is acknowledged. We no longer have to talk about it.
I'm not gloating over it. I'm moving right on to business, sir. I don't know what you're talking about. The championship belt is sitting over there just fine. It'll remain there. Don't you worry about it, because we're talking high school football. We're talking Suburban League American Division. And you know what I love about the Suburban League American Division? It reminds me of the one of the greatest worldwide sports in the world, and that's F1, Formula One racing. You know why? Because you could tell the tiers of these teams. I look at the American Division, and I see 3 separate tiers. We have our top tier teams, Highland, Aurora, and guess what? Spoiler alert, jumping up into that 3rd spot, Copley. Get ready to talk about Copley here in a second. Our midfield teams, we got Talmadge, we got Revere. And then our lower teams, we got Roosevelt, Cuyahoga Falls, and I'm even going to put, I hate doing this, I'm going to put Barberton in that lower division just because I think they took a little bit of a step back, and they're going to have a problem overcoming this year. They're going to be one of those teams that can float between the lower field and the midfield for me this year. But Barberton's one of those teams where if they get on a roll, they can definitely do damage in this division. But if not, they could find themselves in the bottom of the division. But let's talk the top tier teams right now. Let's talk Highland. They are led by all-world running back Casey Miser, and as he goes, this team goes. We talked to Coach Gibbons. We talked to them. We had highlights of their 2 days. They are a team that is not rebuilding. They are reloading much like they did last year. This is a team that went to the regional finals, lost to the eventual state champion in Avon. They are hungry. They are returning a lot of players. Next on my list is Aurora. Aurora is a team that was snake bitten by injuries at the end of last year. Still was a regional semifinalist, but snake bitten at the end. Went into that Highland game without their starting running back and without their starting defensive end. That's a huge loss for them. So now you're looking to have, we have for the Greenmen, they have Xavier Board coming back. This guy is a great running back in a league of running backs. Xavier Board and Casey Miser. Remember these names because we're going to be talking about them a lot this year. Another name we're going to talk about, Andrew McKnight. This guy does everything for the Copley Indians. He does everything. He returns kicks. He plays defense. He plays quarterback. I'm pretty sure he also mows the grass. I don't know what else this kid does for the Indians, but if you want to see what he does, Noah did a great job out there when he was out there watching Copley do their off-season training. Got some really good interviews. This is a team that I think had a big loss in Gabe Manziel graduating, but I think they can overcome that. I think I'm going to mispronounce this name. Dane Winiger is a sophomore quarterback, and he started 4 games last year for Gabe Manziel, which gives him a little bit of confidence going in. But again, he's got a lot of weapons around him. They got a good offensive line coming back to them. This is a team that could definitely be in the running if they can hit their stride at the right time in this season. When I look at teams like Revere and Talmadge, there are two teams, in my opinion, that are kind of tweeners for me. I can't get a read on them. They got some talent, but they got to overcome some big problems: quarterback losses, defensive issues, a lot of big time players left for these teams. So it's going to be interesting to see where they fall as the season progresses. Now, they could also prove me wrong, which happens all the time, guys, because I get proved wrong all the time, except for when it comes to fantasy football. And we all know that. We're not going to get into that. But these two teams, I think, are a little bit of an X factor for me, because it's hard to pinpoint where they're most successful or where they're going to be most successful. Is it on the ground? Or are they going to air it out a little bit? But I also think that defense is a bit of a question mark for them, because, again, both teams lost significant talent on that side of the ball. And specifically in this division, if you can't stop the other team, you're going to get run over. And the top tier teams we just talked about, your Highlands, your Auroras, and your Copleys, they're going to move the ball on you. They're going to score points. You've got to be able to hang. You got to be able to stop them. And I think those teams, specifically Revere and Talmadge, are teams that I pinpointed where I'm not sure they have the defensive talent. It could be, depending upon where they get in the season. It could be. In the lower half, we have Barberton, Cuyahoga Falls, and Roosevelt. All these teams are still very young, specifically Roosevelt. They have a lot of talent, a lot of speed, but they're young. They're still coming along. They're still trying to find their way a little bit. They have a lot of sophomores, a few juniors and seniors that will contribute, that are key players. But again, it's tough to build a young team, especially when you're going through this meat grinder that is the American Conference. Cuyahoga Falls, we're seeing progression every single year with Cuyahoga Falls. They do well in their non-conference, but they just kind of get into the conference, they kind of fall to the bottom. Roosevelt, Cuyahoga Falls, and Barberton. Barberton is another team where, again, I kind of put them in that tweener category. They could be very good or they could be middling, but I don't know where they're getting their breakout from. I don't know where they're getting all their talent from, because I think they become a one-dimensional offense right now, given what I see coming back and what we saw last year. They were kind of a one-dimensional offense. Not a lot of spreading out the ball, a lot of running the ball, a lot of relying on short passes, a lot of dink and dunk, which is fine. But at the end of the day, you're going up against these defenses, specifically when you run into your Highlands and your Auroras and now your Copleys. Those are going to be teams that are going to key on that and make you become more than one-dimensional. And that's where I think the problem is for Barberton this year. I look for right now, as Ed put a gun to Josh's head, he's putting a metaphorical gun to my head to pick a champion. I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably it's Highlands Conference until someone beats them, and I just don't see anyone beating them. They have been able to dictate the pace in every single game last year. I do not expect that to change. I think it's going to be more of the same for Highland. I think it's going to be one of those situations where they're going to put points on points on points. What does that do? Two things. One, it establishes dominance on this conference. Two, it gets younger kids experience in playing on the varsity level, gets kids in there. So that way the transition from a Casey Miser, but let's be honest, I don't know if he has any more records to break, but he's sure as hell going to try this year. But again, you have to plan for the future if you're Coach Gibbons and say, I need to know who my guy is after Miser. I need to see who my guys are in case something like that, something happens to him, or maybe I can rest him. That's how dominant I think Highland can be, especially in this particular division. I think it's pretty much theirs to win. But again, I'm very, very, very excited to see this team go forward here and see how they work out. So let's go over week 1 here for the American division. We have the Bees traveling to take on the Greenmen. We have Barberton traveling to take on Wadsworth. That's a Suburban League cross-divisional matchup there. Copley heads out to Streetsboro. Cuyahoga Falls will take on South. Highland travels not only on the road, but out of state to play McDowell, Pennsylvania, in a big game that we talked to Coach Gibbons about on this very broadcast. And if you missed that, go back and watch it, because he had a very good answer as to how he prepares his team logistically for a game like this, especially given the fact that school's starting this week. Revere travels to take on Woodridge, say that 5 times fast. Roosevelt will travel take on Ravenna, and Talmadge will take on Ellett. Guys, the only home game for the American division is Aurora this year. All the other teams are on the road. It's crazy.
There you go.
That's right. It's
Sean,
going to be.
It wouldn't be the American if it wasn't a little crazy, given who's covering it. That is, again, tremendous breakdown. I have to agree with you with where things are at. Highland right now is the head of the class until someone knocks them off. And we mentioned this a little bit in some of our shows. I mean, they're knocking on the door with Avon, much like Avon was knocking on the door with Hoban. And you know, I don't want to project too far into the future here, but it would not surprise me if we see another Division II, Region 6 battle between Highland and Avon later on this season.
It'd be fun. It'd be fun to cover.
Sean, great job there. And from the Suburban League, we will shift over to the Greater Cleveland Conference. Our own Noah Jacobson, resident GCC expert, will be handling business here. So, Noah, without further ado, take it away for the Greater Cleveland Conference.
All right, thanks, guys. And again, it's hard to believe that we are starting to cover our Week 1 high school football coverage really on Friday night. And I'm really excited to get back into the GCC. We'll start off going over the Week 1 schedule here in the Greater Cleveland Conference. Berea Mid-Park will take on Brunswick. Cleveland Heights will take on Trotwood-Madison. Rush takes on Euclid. Maple Heights will take on Lorraine. That was an LEL championship rematch last year. Medina will be taking on Stella Will Suburban League Natty matchup. Mentor will be taking on Olmsted Falls. That's going to be a good one. Riverside will be taking on Shaker Heights. And Avon Lake will be taking on Strongsville. That's another great game. And with that, we will start off with the defending Greater Cleveland Conference champions. That is the Mentor Cardinals with head coach Matt Gray going into his 5th season. Last year was a great year. You know, they went 13-1, won the GCC. A tough loss in the regional finals, though, to St. Edwards. But we had Coach Gray on, and again, it was a great interview. Go check it out on our YouTube channel. And he's got a lot of returning senior players that have, like, big-time commits in that. But I think the biggest key going into this season for Mentor is who's going to play Scotty Fox at quarterback, who's off to West Virginia. And it'll be very interesting to see who he is. But his 2 running backs are back. I could call them the Cardinals dynamic duo here. Jackson Farley, Dominic Burns. What a great dynamic duo that's going to be for the Mentor Cardinals going into this season. And then through the list, these recruits are like amazing. It starts off with his wide receiver, Justin Hodge, the Miami commit, who's back. And then 4 of the 5 offensive line are like D1 commits, guys. Gabriel McGlendon, I don't know how you say it, but it's a good effort. The guard from Tiffin. And Jojo Laduca, who's the Navy commit, who plays center. Landry Breed, who is off to NC State. And then Caleb Pritchard, who is Kent State. So what a great list of D1 commits. I don't know if many teams would have that many commits to start a season and that, guys. But it'll be very interesting to see how Mentor does, like how they can get back to that point and finish it off this season. And then we'll go off to the team who finished 2nd place in the GCC. That is the Strongsville Mustangs. What a year for Coach Jason Trustic in his first year, man. They went 7-5. Finished 5-1 in the conference. Won their first playoff game since 2008. A tough loss in the second round, though, to the eventual GCC champion Mentor Cardinals. But Coach Trustic is going into year 2 in the season, and he is looking to build off of last year. And now it's this group's turn to write their own story in that. And I think it starts off with their 2 recruits. Their linebacker, Storm Miller, is back, the Texas A&M commit, and he has made big plays throughout the scrimmages. When I was at Strongsville a couple weeks ago, again, you can look back at our YouTube channel with the interviews with Strongsville as well. What a dynamic duo that's going to be for Storm Miller. And not just him, it's Austin Atkins, the Ohio commit. He is back. And then Quinton Young, their offensive line. So, again, this group of seniors has their chance to write their own story for Coach Trustic's team in year 2 and see if they can get it done again in the playoffs, again, try and get back to back playoff wins. And then we'll go off to the team that finished 3rd. That is the Brunswick Blue Devils. Coach Carter going into his 2nd season as head coach of the Blue Devils. Again, 3-8 was his first season as head coach, lost in the first round of the playoffs. But this is a young team, I feel like, with a lot of young players who really looking to make a really big impact. And I got a chance to talk to him and a couple of his players throughout the course. You can look at that on our YouTube channel. We'll go through the list. Eli Nichols, defensive end, who plays not only on offense, but he plays a little bit of a running back, though. And then Cohen Issa, the cornerback. And then Andrew Hayes, the offensive line and defensive line. And then Ed, I know you talk about this guy a lot, the kicker, Vincenzo Diatora. What a big addition to have for Coach Carter's team coming back into this season. It really helps when you have the kicker who had a really great season. I think he only missed one extra point or PAT, whatever it was. But it really helps when you have your kicker back for Coach Carter. And his team is looking to improve from year 1 to year 2. And we'll see what happens for the Brunswick Blue Levels. And then we'll go on to the Cleveland Heights Tigers. This is a new era for Cleveland Heights Tigers football as they bring back an old alumnus, Bryce Jones, who played quarterback for the Tigers back in 2012, who helped them went 10-0 and win the LEL. So, again, he's a player who played in the NFL for a couple of seasons, and he played in the AAF, the XFL, and he's been a college coach, so he knows what it takes to win. And now he gets the chance to coach his team that he played quarterback for. And now, last year they went 6-5. They lost in the first round of the playoffs, but this is a young group and that has experience, that knows what it takes, and I think it's hard to replace Marquise Davis in that, who had all these kinds of numbers and that, but. You know, these two guys really contributed for Marquise Davis, I feel like, in the playoffs and throughout most of the season when Marquise got hurt in that. Elijah Harris and John Morris, these two guys are only sophomores. This is the Tigers' dynamic duo at the right back position. So make sure you look out for these guys because those two guys can really make a big impact for Coach Jones' team in the first year. And then the big-time commit, Henry Perriman Jr., who hasn't committed anywhere yet, but this kid's a stud, not only on the offensive side, but the defensive side. So Coach Jones has got to be really happy with these guys coming back this year, and will really take a true impact going into this season for Coach Jones' first year as a head coach of the Tigers. And then moving on to our next team, the Euclid Panthers. Coach Creel going into his second season after a 2-8 year last year, missed out on the playoffs. This is a young team, like I said, with a lot of talent, I feel like. It starts off with the big-time recruit, Keyshawn Telfair. This kid's only a junior. He can do plays on the offensive and defensive side. So what a big-time addition to have Keyshawn Telfair back, not only for this year, but for next year as well. And then Elijah Robinson, the offensive tackle. This kid's only a junior. And then Kymary Friesen. So this is a young group for Coach Creel with a lot of juniors and seniors. They have playing experience in that. So it'll be very interesting with Coach Creel's team, see if they could improve from year 1 to year 2 for the Euclid Panthers. And then moving on to the Medina. Sean, if you can unmute yourself.
What am I doing?
He's sleeping.
The
Bees!
I'm sorry, that's reserved for Brecksville.
Don't worry, Rob
The
already
Bees.
said it. Thank you, Sean.
The Bees.
That bee.
We'll go into the Medina Bees and that last year they finished off 2-9. They lost in the first round of the playoffs. Coach Laird is going into his ninth season. This is a young group with a lot of young players that are playing experience. I think when we talked to Coach Laird back in a month or two ago, he said he could put his wide receiver group with anyone around Northeast Hawaii. And I think these two receivers can really make a big impact for his team. That's Kellen Hathaway and Brian Wiltshire, who are seniors going into this season. And then defensive lineman Cliff Nicholson is a really name to watch out for on the defensive side. So a lot of young players in that for Coach Laird's team going into this season, trying to improve from last season as they go into this season with a lot of momentum. And then moving forward with the Shaker Heights Red Raiders, Coach Nicholson going into his 7th season as head coach. Last year they finished off 3-7. This is a young group with a lot of players. It starts off with, I think, their quarterback Jasir Edie, who's going into his senior season. Linebacker Ben Dugali, I don't know how you say it, but it's a good effort. This kid's only a junior. And then offensive tackle Mari Landrum, and then linebacker Kingston Seals, who is the BG commit going into this season. So a big addition for Coach Nicholson's team as he gets a BG commit linebacker going into this season. So again, this is a young team who will really make a big impact for Coach Nicholson's team as they go into this season. And then last but not least, we welcome in the Lorraine Titans into the Greater Cleveland Conference as they are the defending LEL champions, looking to go into the GCC and really surprise everyone. That's what Coach Boyce said when we had him on the show here to do. one of the goals was to really shock the GCC. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what Coach Boyce's team is going to bring going into this GCC. And he's got a lot of seniors who have really made a really big impact last season. I think I'll name a couple. Ezra Williams, who plays defensive lineman, Jamison Gaines, who plays linebacker, and Amari Alone, who plays offensive lineman. So it'll be really interesting with Coach Boyce's team will be going into this season with a lot of momentum after finishing 9-2. They did lose in the first round. So we'll see what the Lorraine Titans have. And that is the GCC preview. So, guys, I'm ready to get this thing going, and I can't wait to start high school football.
Hey, great job, Noah. You called it out yourself. Great efforts multiple times through on pronunciations. We are in mid-season form in many ways. Noah, you mentioned Mentor a tremendous season last year. You'd argue the weather was a big factor as to it factored into the outcome. Although Coach Gray will never say that. The rain. A lot of humility in Coach Boyer's part. He knows that they're jumping up a little bit in level of competition, going from the now defunct LEL to the Greater Cleveland Conference, and no better way to do that than to take on the second place of the LEL to start their season. So they got some familiarity there. You mentioned Brunswick. I had a funny text exchange with Coach Dreiss today. I'll just leave that between me and him, but. Vinny D. Teodoro, a lot of publicity, deservedly so. But as we talked with Coach Carter, if it's all the same to him, I think they want to put 6 on the board instead of 3, and I completely get that as a kicker. I like what you mentioned about Cleveland Heights. The sophomore running backs that took over from Marquise Davis last year were really good. I watched a game or two of them on TV. And they were just battering rams, and that's a big thing for Coach Jones to have 2 reliable young running backs that don't have to carry the load there. So another, as always, and we know that Coach Laird is going to be bringing the Airbees out to some new success hopefully this year for Medina. So great job on that, Noah, as always, and. We'll chat back in with you a little bit later as well to see where you're going for week 1. All right, let's shift over to the Southwestern Conference. Rob Troutman's going to take care of the Southwestern Conference, and we can't. Rob will mention this. So I'm going to try not to steal the thunder. We've been doing this for a long time, and we have not had a state champion in our coverage area, and now we do. And Rob will certainly help us cover that out. So, Rob, Southwestern Conference, take that away.
Thanks, Ed. And yeah, the Southwestern Conference, we had a Division II state champion, that being the Avon Eagles. And we'll get into that here in a minute. But in week 1 in the Southwestern Conference, you have a good Sandusky team taking on an improved Amherst Comets team. The big game from last year, St. Ignatius and Avon. Noah covered that at Cleveland Brown Stadium. What a game that was. Avon Lake and Strongsville, that should be a very, very intriguing matchup. The Titans of Berea Mid-Park travel to Brunswick, take on the Blue Devils. They had a close game last season. Mayfield and Elyria, as Elyria looks to improve this season. Midview and Westlake covered that game last year. It was a close game throughout, but it was the Middies that escaped that game, and we'll see what happens this year. North Olmsted and North Ridgeville. In North Ridgeville, it's always tough to play. Can the Rangers continue to get better? Last year was a really, really good season. A lot of their losses came from very good teams, so we'll see how that game will turn out in week 1. And Menor travels to Olmsted Falls, and this is going to be a good matchup, I think. Menor's a team that likes to throw and pass. Olmsted Falls usually likes to run. And can they wear down the Menor defense and keep the ball in their possession long enough so they don't, with Menor, they like a shootout in that game. And Olmsted Falls is going to have to keep that game close. You don't want it to get out of hand. And I think it's going to be a very physical matchup there in Bulldogs country. So we'll go right through, and it was the Avon Eagles. We'll show a little bit from the championship game. They took on Cincinnati Anderson here. An impressive game for the Eagles. And one guy they're going to be missing is Nolan Good here. Blake Elder's going to take over the reign at quarterback. Here's Nolan Good. He showed you what he can do. He's a Kent State commit. He's going to be playing there this season. What an impressive kid. And he really did so many things other than just throw the football. But an impressive quarterback. Blake Elder, though, he's done it before. And he's going to really have to take this Avon team on his shoulders and see what they can do offensively, because he over and over again has led this Avon team when they needed to, and that was last season. So now we'll go over the Avon Eagles. Mike Elder's going to lead them. They were 16-0 last season. North Ridgeville came in second place at 9-3. One of their losses to Avon, the other was to Wadsworth in the playoffs. So two of their losses to very good teams, and I believe the other was to Olmsted Falls, if I'm not mistaken. There was a close game at 12-10. Actually, it was to Avon Lake. I think it was 12-10 in that one there. But Olmsted Falls in third place at 8-4, another really good season, and they had Avon in the ropes in that first game, or actually in I think it was second round of the playoffs there. So they were pushing Avon until Avon finally got it together and rode off into the sunset there. Avon Lake at 6-5. Them and Amherst tied at 6-5. Both impressive seasons and making the playoffs. Berea Mid-Park at 4-8 this season. They had a big win against Lorraine in the playoffs, then fell to Perrysburg, but Berea Mid-Park still had some close games. They could have had a lot different record if it would have went their way. Elyria at 0-10 rounds out the Southwestern Conference. Now going to the state champs, the Division II state champs, Blake Elder, he'll be right there too. Obviously, like I said before, Nolan Good replaced him, who graduated. Then you still have Jacob Weatherspoon. He's a North Carolina commit, was going to Ohio State, thinks he'll play a little more at North Carolina. He's going to be at cornerback. Miami of Ohio commit linebacker Ryan Stolarski is going to anchor the defense right there from the linebacker position. They have wide receiver Grant Barr coming back. He made the one-handed grab in that big game. Keontae Smith, the running back. This guy can run last year. We saw him have some big yardage last year. Safety Cameron Wendell comes back. The offensive line, I mean, this Avon team is full of seniors and guys returning. So it's going to a lot of experience and seniors return for this season, so they just retool. Then you go to the North Ridgeville Angels and Coach Morgan looking to continue his success. 9-3 and finishing second with a first-round win over Toledo Start. They fell in the second round to Wadsworth 21-10. But a good season, and they bring back a lot, too. This North Ridgeville team is a team to watch out for. I think if a team can maybe challenge Avon, we'll have to see about that. It could be the Rangers this year. They bring back quarterback Cole Miller, running back Zach Barnhart. This guy had close to 1,300 yards and 20 touchdowns last season. So he comes back for North Ridgeville. They do lose a few big players on defense and special teams. You might remember Carson Mattis. He was a first-team Southwestern Conference player last year, and Austin DeShazo. He was a third-team defense for the Rangers last year, also kicked field goals and was their field goal kicker. So that's a huge loss there. Hopefully they have somebody that can kick. We know how tough that is in high school football, and that guy did a great job, was solid and consistent for the North Ridgeville Rangers. Again, they're in second place at 9-3. Moving on to Olmsted Falls, head coach Tom DeLuca. We talked to him this season, in the off season rather, about his team at 8-4 last year. And they had a second-round exit to Avon, and they returned their whole entire offensive line, which has Owen Singleton coming back. That's a name we've continually talked about at running back for Olmsted Falls. This guy keeps getting better and better. And the offense last year, how about their offensive line? You think they're ready to rush the ball this year? They had over 3,000 yards of offense last season. A lot of them come running the football. Logan Connolly, another guy that's back in the backfield for the Bulldogs. He had 567 yards, 330 receiving yards, and 9 touchdowns on the season. The quarterback will be a first-year quarterback, Cameron Pesh. This season, he has looked comfortable in scrimmages. He's looked good. He's looked comfortable running the offense, and he's going to have a pretty big load on his shoulders. But I think it helps that Olmsted Falls is a good running football team. That'll ease the pain of him having to throw too much this season. But he is probably going to – we all know from last season, Olmsted Falls can throw as well, so that will be a big test here in Week 1 versus Mentor. Avon Lake, Coach Kostelnik at 6-5. They lost in the playoffs to Toledo St. Francis de Sales. They bring back offensive line and OSU commit Max Riley, who we talked to during their scrimmage versus Lorraine. And he's going to anchor that offensive line, is ready for the test. He said they have a good offensive line that's ready to compete this year. Air Force commit Aiden Stewart. He connected well with their new sophomore quarterback, Dawson Tenbrink. And this guy led the offense and was really impressive versus Lorraine. He can run, but he can pass. Has a good touch on the ball. But they countered with running back Ezra Jones. This is a guy that runs hard. He has the make of a really big physical back that can take a pounding. He's going to be back there. Michael Summerfield Jr. and Mitchell Streeter also at the running back position. You want to watch out for a freshman on this team. It's wide receiver and cornerback Christopher Goulding. He made some big plays. He scored, or actually he was close to scoring in the end zone for Avon Lake. Has a big frame. I think he's 6'3". And he can make plays, and he played really impressive for Avon Lake. So he's there for Avon Lake. That's the Avon Lake Shoreman with head coach Matt Kostelnik there. Now moving on to Amherst. They also were 6-5. Coach Tom Thome was there. They have some big ads here. It's almost like a transfer portal, it sounds like, with some of these guys going from one school to another. Former Middie Michael Passarello Jr., he had a big role on the Middies. He was a running back and also I think played a little bit of defense. He's going to play both sides of the ball, running back and free safety, as Coach Thome said. But also Peyton Gillis, the running back, he also has been impressive in scrimmages this season, and he'll have an impact. But Michael Passarello Jr., watch out for him this season. Amherst, they're going to move to a 3-4 defense this year. So we'll see how their defense, I think it goes a little bit hand in hand, as Coach Thome told us, with some of the personnel they have on that side of the ball. Quarterback Cy Christensen, he's a transfer from Clairview, an impressive kid, impressive in the pocket, knows when to escape when he needs to, throws a good football, and I think he's going to have a good year for them. Wide receiver Nick Wilkinson and Brody Glick, the outside linebacker, just a few other players on Amherst that should have a big season for them. The Midview Middies now, moving on to them. They were 5-6 under head coach Jack Armstrong, and they continue to get better and better. They lost to Padua in the playoffs. They started off 3-0 and then lost 2 close games to Avon Lake and Amherst in the regular season. They're looking for running back Marcus McMahon. He'll take over Michael Passarello Jr.'s spot in that lineup. He played a nice role last year as well. They had a 2-back balance there. But he's going to have a lot of the running back role this season. And quarterback Shea Williams, he returns after a solid season last year. The defense, though, for the Middies, they're going to have to step it up here. And they played really good defense for the most part last season. Carson Morris, Gage Weaver, and linebacker Braden Hamoki will be there for the Middies, who went 5-6 as they look to improve. Now, Berea Mid-Park, we talked to Coach Hunick this offseason, talked a little bit about his Titans coming back. They finished at 5-8, but they had big wins against Brunswick, Olmsted Falls, Lorraine, and Elyria there on the season. They lose quarterback Danny Bowser, but now they have Vince Weaver and junior Dylan Papashak coming in, and they're fighting for that quarterback position. They do return some of their offensive line. And they're going to need some big playmakers to step up this season, as they lost some on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they got to be a bend but don't break defense for the Titans this season. And it's going to be interesting to see who won that quarterback battle, as it was kind of going back and forth. And Coach Hunick said they have a good battle on their hands. So we'll see what happens in week 1 with that as they take on Brunswick. And lastly, you look at the Elyria Pioneers. And they've lost some key players on their team to keep going to other schools here. So Coach Matt Wilson is trying to really keep players there at Elyria. They went 0-10 last year, but they did have some close games at Mayfield, East, and Berea Mid-Park. They were right there in the thick of it in some of those games. It just didn't work out for them. They do have some returning players. A 3-year starter is Jackson Goodspeed. He's an all-conference, all-district. On the offensive tackle side, Patrick Osborne, another offensive lineman. Antonio Pride at quarterback. He played a good quarterback last year, and Ja'Cory Bradley made plays at wide receiver for Elyria. Those guys all coming back, but they do lead their top rusher, Kevin Jordan. As you remember last year, he went to Lake Erie College to play, and he was a big part of their offense as a rusher. And we'll see what can happen really with their defense is a 3-4 defense, and some returning players on defense. Their top tackler and linebacker, Levi Springer, will be back on defense to anchor the defense out there. So we'll have to see how that will work out for the Pioneers, who defensively hopefully can play some tough D and maybe learn the scheme a little bit better this year and improve from last year. So that's the Elyria Pioneers there and Coach Wilson. And that's the Southwestern Conference in a nutshell. I'm out of breath, and I think I'm going to get some water here. This one is in the bag.
Hey, Rob, absolutely. Great work there on the Southwestern Conference, as always. Right, I mean, the standard bearer for the conference is Avon. I don't think there's really going to be any arguments about that until someone knocks them off. But it's similar to that of all of our conferences here. You got to play your best or close to it every single week.
Yep.
Else, an upset can happen in any moment's notice. Even a team like Elyria, who is they struggled a little bit last year, but Coach Wilson's second year in the system, they're primed to make some. They're primed to make some steps. North Ridgeville, a 4-year starting running back, amongst many other folks. Olmsted Falls is always tough. Avon Lake is always tough. Berea Mid-Park, skilled athletes.
Yep.
They're very rich there. So it is the meat grinder. This is the SWC, even though they don't play 9 conference games anymore. It gives them an opportunity to really hone their craft in the non-conference, and we get to see some really good matchups between Southwestern Conference schools and the schools that are in our conferences, the other conferences as well. So I feel pretty safe that until someone beats Avon on the field, and that is it's Avon's conference to lose. And then we'll see what happens in the playoffs. Usually, teams that make the playoffs out of the SWC are successful in the playoffs unless they have to play teams from the SWC. That's usually how it goes. Yep,
you're absolutely right. Avon, you gotta match up with Avon, and they're fundamentally sound in a lot of areas and just have skilled players, and you got to figure out how to contain them and keep yourself in the game, and we'll see what happens this season. It's going to be interesting.
Yep, no doubt, Rob. Well done. And lastly, we'll shift over to my conference, the former Great Lakes Conference, now the Cleveland West Conference. This is their second year in existence. Their first year was won by the Buckeye Bucks. They are they are now the defending CWC champions. They're going to open up their defense against Cloverleaf, a Medina County matchup there. They'll be traveling to Lodi, Westfield Township, take on Cloverleaf. Bay Village will go to Ashland. John Marshall will go visit the Rangers of Lakewood. A battle of Parma schools there. Normandy will host Holy Name. North Olmsted will take on North Ridgeville, a former SWC battle there. Firestone will come to Rocky River. North Worldton will take on Valley Forge. There might be some foreshadowing there. And then Midview will take on Westlake as well. All right, so let's start the Cleveland West Conference. The Buckeye Bucks, they were 7-0 in conference play last year. They were finished by Rocky River. They were followed by Rocky River, North Olmsted. They were each 5-2 in the conference. Bay finished 4-3. Then Valley Forge finished 5th, followed by Lakewood, Normandy, and Westlake. Westlake will be looking for their first Cleveland West Conference win this season. So let's start with the reigning defending champions of the Cleveland West Conference, the Buckeye Bucks. Last year, they lost in the second round of the Division III Region 10 playoffs to Roderick Love, the all-world running back from Padua. One of the best playoff games you'll see between those two teams. And it was a rematch of some prior games as well. So in this case, Padua was able to get the win. Senior quarterback Turner Dolata returns along with Roman Kretler, and wide receiver, defensive back, and kicker Braden Bonnet. Those are your returning skilled players on the offensive end. Kretler and Bonnet also will play defense. Bonnet, one of the best kickers in the county. They've had a pretty good run of kickers at Buckeye, going all the way back to Clay Gunkelman. Actually, when Coach Rice was there, of all people. But Brandon Bonnet has done a really, really good job at the kicker position. He was injured a lot last year. So with being healthy, he's looking to make an impact on both the offensive and defensive end, in addition to his special team exploits. Tight end Jacob Snyderburn looks to pick up where Trey Weidemeyer left off. On defense, Kretler, he's going to lead the defense. Real good linebacker play. Preston Ware, Derek Snyderburn, and Cam Landis. And, of course, they are coached by the winningest head coach in Medina County history. He's entering his 9th season as the head coach of Buckeye. Greg Dennison is back at the helm for the Buckeye Bucks. He had a very successful career at Wadsworth, took a year off at Brunswick as an assistant, and has picked up right where he left off, and making some helping take Buckeye to the next level with some playoff victories as of late. Rocky River, they finished second last year. They lost in the second round of the Division III Region 10 playoffs like Buckeye. They lost a home game to Lexington. Lexington is able to come up from the Mansfield area for a 49-29 defeat there. Rocky River returns senior quarterback Ryan Taylor. He had a fantastic year last year, over 2,000 yards passing. He could also run the ball. Joey DeSalvo, the senior running back, comes back. Michael Wargle, senior wide receiver Luke Konepka, and senior center Alex Van Meter are all looking to be major players. Most of those have been voted captains as well. On defense, Jeff Maslar. Mommy's upstairs, bud. Sorry. On defense, Jeff Maslar, London Hover lead from the linebacker spot. They got a big transfer in from St. Ignatius and St. Ed's. Tristan Hughes is a big target, and he's looking. He'll look to connect with Ryan Taylor right away. We wouldn't be talking about Rocky River. We didn't mention there's another Beebe brother in the pipeline. This one's Michael Beebe. I just happened to notice him on the roster, and given how good all the Beebe brothers have been in the past, more than likely at some point he might make an impact. And they have a very experienced head coach in Josh Wells. You got to hear him on our podcast a little bit earlier in the summer, and they're looking to get back to what Rocky River does, and with a senior gunslinger and Ryan Taylor and Joey DeSalvo running the ball, but behind a really good offense and a really good defensive line. We'll see what the Pirates can do this year. North Olmsted, they caught fire. They won 5 of their last 6 games last season to make the Division II Region 6 playoffs. They lost to the eventual Division II champion, the Avon Eagles, in the first round. But a lot of their offense graduated. Matthew Chalkwater, Michael Pacifiumi, Tommy Horsfall, they have all graduated. But they do return senior wide receiver Javion Pierce, and then junior Will McPherson are looking to lead the team for North Olmsted. They have the same exact schedule as they had last year, and their non-conference slate is not easy. But they talked about in the past, they got into real good form in Week 5. Their focus is, let's get into Week 5 mode in Week 1. We can't wait this long to get to where we need to be. Those first 3 conference games are tough. That sense of urgency needs to be there right away. Coach Bredeker was also on our podcast earlier this summer as well. to talk about them. There's a certain sophomore that I haven't that I was not able to talk about last time. Maxton Crookmeyer. I might be getting some time on varsity as a sophomore, maybe. So he tells me. But this was my again my plea to have his dad move his family back to Brunswick. I don't think it's happening. But North Olmsted, we'll see what they could do. Can they get off to a better start in the non-conference and set themselves up, hopefully, for better playoff positioning in Division II, Region 6? Bay Village, they lost to Napoleon in the second round in the Division 4, Region 14 playoffs. And like Rocky River and Buckeye, they got to host 2 rounds of the playoffs last year. Charlie Rogers returns for his senior season. He's a 4-year all-purpose skill player. Seems like I've been talking about this guy forever. But he's going to return alongside 3-year starting running back Rocco Hereditario. It's going to be a little bit different, though. Coach Ron Rutt has resigned last year. He's being succeeded by Nick Bigrig. That's his last name. It's Big Rig with 2
That's
G's
perfect.
at the end. But they're looking to do, they're looking.
That's a football coach's name.
That is. You're not joking there. Coach Big Rig taking over for Coach Rutt. And Coach Rutt, 11 seasons, 11 playoff runs. That is extremely, extremely rare for a school like that. And that's with them bouncing between Division 3 and Division 4 as well. The offense is going to have a different look this year. We've known them to have a very run-heavy offense, almost like a single wing to a certain extent, where the quarterback could be the running back, and they could either run it or just throw a bomb. I think that the passing offense will be a little more sophisticated this year as they look to diversify the offense a little bit. Valley Forge, they return a bevy of their running back and wing backs. Sean Frank, Lucas Schillinger, and Evan Tappy return. Coach Laheta, his 3rd season as the Valley Forge head coach. On defense, Tappy is going to lead the defensive unit alongside Mason Furukawa, Owen Bowman, and Spencer Steven. And they run that. Of course, they run their patented wing T option offense, where everyone gets to run the ball multiple times. They very rarely pass the ball, but it's a formula that's worked for them, and we'll see what they can do this year. All right, 3 more teams. Lakewood, Coach Povasic is back. They're looking for their first winning season since 2013, and they're going to do it starting at freshman quarterback. Otto Wilhelmi will be getting time as a starting freshman quarterback for the Lakewood Rangers. He does come from a pedigree. His father and his brother both starred at quarterback for Lakewood in their past, so he's got a family lineage there. Junior lineman Jackson Comer returns, along with tight end Riley Verteber, who is a 3-sport all-conference player. So, I mean, that dude's a stud. Jacob Stoll and Braden Greenfield also return for Lakewood to give the Rangers a formidable offense-defensive tandem there. Normandy, Noah talked with Coach Ian Cost here recently on a Sports on Tap Extra. Normandy lost to Division I in the first round of the Division I Region I playoffs last year. And they're going to learn what life is like without all-world quarterback Elijah Gray. He was a 4-year starter, and he was everything that Normandy needed him to be, and then some. But Jacob Munyak Jr. will take over as quarterback, along with senior running back Raynard Brown in the backfield. Munyak will throw to senior Mario Stewart, and three underclassmen, Nick Williams, Cam Hayden, and sophomore tight end Brody Tusai. 4 offensive linemen return, anchored by senior James Moore, and 7 more starters return on defense. Brown also plays linebacker. You got Fernando Acevedo and more on the line. Senior Riley Tyson, Jamari Bullock at linebacker, and you got 4 returning defensive backs: junior Troy Summers, and seniors Dom Reg, Larry Clement, and Raul Gonzalez. Last and certainly not least, Westlake. We talked with Coach Yantek last week. He's back for his 2nd season at the helm with some lessons learned, and he talked about the energy. He talked about the juice, the different type of offseason this has been. Players are buying in. They're becoming more close knit, playing for each other. More importantly, playing for the school. Instilling that Westlake pride, what it means to be a demon in a territory where, quite frankly, they get poached by a lot of the parochial schools that live in very close proximity to them. So It's a tall task, but Coach Yantek has the energy. He's got the buy-in from the players. Senior Jake Ostrowski returns. He's their best skill player. I've been talking about him forever as well. It seems like senior Sean Pavich and junior Mo Abelhedi on the offensive side, and then on defense, Tommy DeFranco, Tony Colon will help lead the defense for the Westlake Demons. I think right now it's a two-team race between Buckeye and Rocky River. Buckeye, I think, based on pedigree, they lost a lot last year too. Gage Nagy, Troy McCall, Trey Weidenmeyer. These are guys that were all Gazette players. Those are your three best skill players. Turner Delata didn't need to do too much at quarterback last year. He rarely threw more than 10 times a game, and that was the recipes for success for Buckeye last year. But you wonder if Coach Dennison's going to let the ball fly a little bit more with Braden Bonnet now fully in the mix as a wide receiver, and with Jacob Snyderburn, in that tight end role. Rocky River, they have offensive weapons aplenty, as I mentioned earlier. Ryan Taylor, Joey DeSalvo, Lucas Konepka, Michael Wargel, and Tristan Hughes. So offensively, they're going to be very tough to beat, and their defense is going to be extremely tough as well. So I think it's going to be a two-team race between Buckeye and Rocky River. All right, that's going to take us through our conference previews there. I want to thank Sean Duffy for working the PowerPoint as he normally does. And, before we get out of here, I would be remiss if we did not mention where we are going to be this week for the week one of the high school football season. Since Rob's face is on my screen right now, how about we start with him and then we'll go down the line.
That's right, bud. My game in the Southwestern Conference, it's going to cover a few conferences. It'll cover the Greater Cleveland Conference as well, but I'm going to head down to Olmsted Falls where the Menor Cardinals will take on the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs in what should be just an absolute great matchup of two teams that have had a lot of success respectively. Obviously, Olmsted Falls' success in the Southwestern Conference, always at the top for the most part. And you look at Menor, they've been at the top in the Greater Cleveland Conference and have had some nice runs. So Coach Gray against Coach DeLuca, two experienced coaches here. It's going to be a great one at Olmsted Falls. I think it's going to be packed. The atmosphere at Olmsted Falls is going to be pretty special on Friday night.
Well, I'll go next here, boys. And again, it's hard to believe that we are here, boys, at the start of the 2025 season. Again, I've been out doing a lot of sports on tap extras throughout the whole summer, going to scrimmages, practices, talking to all these coaches and players who are really excited to really take the start of the 2025 season coming up Friday night. And Rob, not only do we have one Southwestern Conference versus GCC crossover matchup, we've got two of them.
Oh, man.
To start my 2025 high school football coverage, I will be headed down to Stroudsville, down at Packatan Stadium, where the Avon Lake Shoremen will be taking on the Stroudsville Mustangs. This was a game last year that was a one-score game, won by Avon Lake, and Stroudsville looking to build off their playoff run from last season. So again, this is an exciting game with a bunch of D1 recruits with Max Riley, Eden Stewart, Austin Atkins, and Storm Miller. So this is going to be an exciting week one game, I feel like, for me, with a bunch of recruits making big-time plays and big-time moments. And I'm really excited to start my season here at Stroudsville. We got two SWC versus GCC crossover matches.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Dude, is it my turn now?
I don't know. Whoever wants to speak.
I guess it is.
You guys, well, I didn't want to interrupt this GCC, SWC.
Well, let's go, Jeffy. Get into
guy
it.
who used to cover the GCC.
Well, hey, you can't look back, Sean. You got to always look forward, and we're going to look forward to this week one matchup. And Ed, I got you covered, buddy, because we're going to go a little CWC Netty crossover. We're going to head to Byersfield in Parma as the aforementioned Valley Forge Patriots. They will host the North Royalton Bears. This is going to be an interesting game, I think. Probably not a lot of passing happening. at least from one side of the ball. But Valley Forge coming off a 4-win season, North Royalton coming off a 5-win season. We'll see how they build on that. We'll see. Interested to see who's going to be playing quarterback for the Bears. It's going to be a good one. Looking forward to it.
Well, I guess that leaves me, fellas. And let's be honest. We all know that of all of us here, the most likely to pull a muscle coming out of the gate is yours truly. So I decided to.
Hopefully, it's your mouth muscle.
Well, listen, I wanted to start off with a warm up. Noah, stop doing that. Stop it right now. I'm going to head just down the road from my humble abode and watch the North Olmsted Eagles take on the North Ridgeville Rangers. I think that's going to be a fantastic game. I like where North Ridgeville is right now, and I think North Olmsted, as Ed mentioned so well in his breakdown, is the mentality for North Olmsted is to be at week 5, the week 5 burner that they were on last year. Can this carry into the season? Can they carry that momentum? It's going to be fun to watch. But hey, it doesn't matter where I'm going. We're going to be all over the place come Friday night. And the only place you're going to be able to see it, well, the only places you're going to be able to see it are on YouTube and following us on X at SOT Podcast, where we will be live tweeting or live Xing. I don't know what it's called anymore. Live tweeting scores, videos, and then come Monday, we're going to recap all of the action in the GCC, the Suburban League, the Southwestern Conference, and the Cleveland West Conference. The only place in Northeast Ohio that's doing that is right here on Sports on Tap. But the only place you're going to be able to see it is on our YouTube channel. So you need to be hitting the subscribe button, smashing the notifications bell, and visiting our fantastic sponsors. I'm wearing a shirt from our great friends at Mako. They did a great job getting us our shirt, our swag for this year. I'm pumped to be out there, and I can't wait to walk up and down the sidelines. And hopefully, I don't get run over by these high school children because they're hitting a brick wall, boys. That's what I'm saying right now. I'm gonna be on the defensive, head on a swivel.
Well, now they might, since you call them children.
I'm Sean Duffy, and I'm reporting with my microphone all over the place. What are we doing here, bud? You're getting a little too comfortable now.
Yeah, he's ready to fall asleep in that chair over there.
I am, and I figured rather than lean forward, I wanted to lean back and pontificate on how things are great, and I was afraid this thing wouldn't pick up.
Wait, I think Noah's sleeping with his arms up. That's crazy.
No, he's trying to. What happened is
he's flexing. He's flexing.
No. He blew a blood vessel flexing his muscles, so he doesn't know what to do right now. He's all passed out.
Oh,
well, it doesn't get much better than that, Sean.
That's right.
Just to quickly recap, and this will be all over our social media.
Yep.
Throughout the course of the week. This Friday night, Sports on Tap will be live tweeting, Xing at 4 different games. Rob will be at Olmsted Falls versus Mentor. Noah will be at Avon Lake at Stronsville, and I had to be remiss. I did not mean to leave out Stronsville in my recap of the GCC. They got a lot of good defenders coming back. They're very highly touted recruits, and which is no surprise with Jason Trusnick as their coach. So we'll see if their offense can catch up with their defense. Noah will get a good look at that. Josh will be at North Royalton versus Valley Forge, and Sean will be at North Olmsted at North Ridgeville. All right. Make sure you're following us on all of our social medias. We will have all of our schedules will be out on our website, sportsontappodcast.com, and those will go to our various social media websites as well. All right. This has been the Sports on Tap High School Football Conference Preview Show presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance. Next week, we will be starting at 7:30 p.m. live every Monday thereafter, save for Labor Day. We usually switch things up a little bit for Labor Day weekend. But for next week, it will be next Monday night. The Week 1 recaps will be live here at 7:30 p.m. Live. For Rob Troutman, Noah Jacobson, Josh Jeffy, and Sean Duffy, my name is Ed Dick. This is Sports on Tap, and we'll see you on the other side.
See ya. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com. Elevate your brand with Mako Custom Printing. Mako Custom Printing specializes in creating high-quality spiritware, corporate apparel, and promotional products that make your brand stand out. Whether you need custom printing, graphic design, or an online store for your school or business, we've got you covered. Make a statement with Mako Custom Printing. Visit us at mako.com to start your custom printing journey today. That's MEHCO.com.